Once I had the seizures, I kept saying, I feel weird, something's happening, but then it would pass. I had dismissed myself because I'm like, I had cancer. It's not cancer. I mean, who gets breast cancer that goes to the brain? Especially when I was told 95% chance I'd be fine and it'd never come back. I remember the word significant tumor in your brain. And I couldn't breathe. It was the most traumatic feeling I have ever had. I had my husband pull over on the side of the road and literally fell to my knees in the dirt and felt like I was hyperventilating. Before I got diagnosed, I just was rocking and rolling, making good income, being a busy mom, and only 41 years old. At the time, I was competing in bodybuilding, so I was in the best shape of my life. And so it was shocking when I, got diagnosed. I didn't have a lump in my breast. I had blood coming from my nipple. I breastfed both of my boys, so I had this let down feeling, and turns out it was blood. And I went to my doctor who said, yeah, we need to get that checked out. We need to do a biopsy. He sent me to a surgeon. The surgeon said, well, it's no longer bleeding. Let me know if it happens again. And sent me on my way. No lump. I was up to date on my mammograms. Probably a month later, I had a large lump in my breast and was sent back to him, was dismissed again. I had never had any major health issues, so I didn't really think much of it. And I thought, cancer? I mean, how could I have cancer? I don't have cancer. I mean, so I shouldn't worry about it. I had, doctors tell me, don't worry about it. I believed them because I had never had to advocate for myself. By that point, when they finally figured it out, it had gone into my lymph nodes and I had a huge golf ball sized lump in my armpit. I was shocked. I was just very shocked. Of course, I was shocked. But also I was confused. I just it was just confusing to me. How did I not meet all the normal signs and symptoms to look for, and why, when I was doing everything that I could, what are you talking about? It was just confusion. And it still kind of is. Cancer doesn't discriminate. I went through the chemo that causes you to lose your hair, the hardcore chemo, the surgeries, the radiation, everything. And then that was over a year and a half. And had a 15-month reprieve and was on nothing, was told I had a 95% chance of it not coming back. And so I just went on my merry way, was happy it was over. Again, it was just a part of my life that was done. Started having what they call focal seizures. I would rock a little bit. I would feel like I was going underwater, and I would lose control of my right arm, which was very odd, but I had dismissed myself. I started to not be able to do simple math. And again, I thought it was stress. And I'm like, what is wrong with me? Memory loss. The biggest thing, other than the focal seizures, was the emotions. I could not control my emotions. And again, I dismissed it because it was during COVID. I had just gotten a divorce. I had 2 teenage boys that I had majority custody of. So I had a lot on my plate. I didn't have time to deal with having seizures and not really knowing what they were. My now husband saw them. We were engaged, and he said, I am going to take you to Mayo Clinic, or I'm going to tell your family if you don't figure this thing out. So I went to the hospital, and that was when they told me. They did a brain MRI, and it was funny because I was so sure that there was nothing wrong with me. I just did the brain MRI, and then I left because I wanted to go home. And I was like, y'all just call me. Let me know what you think it is. I just was like, what? No, there's nothing wrong with my brain. What are you talking about? Why are you doing that? And they called me, and we were on the road. I remember the word significant tumor in your brain. And I couldn't breathe. It was the most traumatic feeling I have ever had. Then I just said, what? And I said, are you sure you're talking about me? I had my husband pull over on the side of the road, literally fell to my knees in the dirt, felt like I was hyperventilating. He was immediately, my husband is great, great, great in emergencies. He got on the phone immediately. He just took over because I just was sitting there just paralyzed, just could not believe it. We got engaged during my 15-month reprieve that I had. I said to him, I said, you can walk away and I would not hold it against you at all because I don't know if I could do this. They gave me 12 to 18 months to live. And I'm like, why would you want to marry me? I mean, really. Instead of walking away, he walked closer to me and he said, I'm in it for the long haul. I will take care of you. And still didn't quite believe him. But he said, let's get married. And we got married on the beach. So I was diagnosed in 2017, originally with breast cancer, and I was re-diagnosed with breast cancer to the brain, metastasized to the brain in 2021. I remember crying. My mother was there, my husband was there. I went into the oncologist office. She showed it to me. They told me how long I had to live. And I remember going into the bathroom, hysterical. I mean, when I tell you hysterical, I mean screaming, crying, and just could not believe it. Just could not believe it. And still to this day, I feel like I'm a little bit in denial because I'm still here. So I don't know. It's just the most bizarre feeling. And when you find that out, it's just devastating. And I mean devastating. It's hard to describe when somebody says, of course we're all going to die, but when somebody says to you, you're going to die and it's going to happen soon. I don't even know how you process that. I had never been so scared. And the first thing that I thought of and still think about are my two children, my husband, and all three of my parents because I have a stepfather. The first thing they did was they sent me to the neurosurgeon. And the neurosurgeon looked at me and he said, I don't want to operate because if I operate, we run a good risk of paralyzing you. And he said, I want to try what they call gamma knife radiation. And it's surgery without cutting anything open. It's just mega radiation to the brain. They put a mask on you that looks like Jason from Friday the 13th. And they put that on you. The only way the only thing that's exposed are your nostrils. So you can barely breathe through your mouth. You can't open your mouth. You can't even open your lips. You can't open your eyes. The gamma knife radiation work, after you have radiation to the brain, it's like, scar tissue forms. Started to get headaches again, started to have seizures, and they said, you know what, there's something going on here. We can't afford any more swelling. So we're going to do brain surgery, AKA a craniotomy. So they went in to clean out and remove all the scar tissue. That was terrifying, hearing that I was going to have not only brain surgery, a craniotomy, but that I was going to have an awake craniotomy. So I had the craniotomy in October of 2023, and they just found another tumor just a few months ago, but it was tiny. So there's that. It was tiny, and they just went in and zapped it with radiation. And so it's half the size now that it was. So I am looking at this as a chronic disease rather than a death sentence. So in the last 10 years, I've gotten a 15-month reprieve with absolutely no meds and no chemo. And that's it, only 15 months. I'm on full-blown chemo. I am on 2 chemos to the brain, so I get an infusion every 3 weeks. It's not the kind where you lose your hair. I have sores on my hands. I have sores on my feet. My hands get really red. I have nausea. I have fatigue. I'm not able to work. I went from making really, really good money to now I'm on Social Security and disability. So that has put definitely a financial burden, not a burden, but it has definitely made a financial impact to a family household. A lot of middle income families become lower income families because of this, and they don't get any help. They don't get any help. I mean, it just, the hotel rooms, the mileage, the meals, the daycare, the lost income, the caregivers lost income from taking off work to take you to these appointments. All of these things add up. That absolutely needs to change. I still have more to offer. I one of the biggest driving factors too is that people gain strength and gain hope from my story. So that's another reason why I'm still here and I still keep pushing forward is I have a purpose. I still have a purpose here on earth. So I believe that, and I just have to keep going and I have to stay alive, and I'll do anything to do that. I got a compliment the other day at the gym, and they said, this older gentleman, really, really sweet. He said, "You are too pretty to be sick." And I said, that is what I want to hear. I don't want to look sick. I want my life to be as normal as possible, and I fight for that every day. And fortunately for me, I had the background of fitness. So I was used to working out. I continue to work out, and that is what the doctors tell me is a huge part of why I am still here. A hope for me and a hope for everyone out there is they come up with better medicine. A dream would be that they could cure cancer. I don't think them curing cancer in my lifetime is realistic. So I call it a hope.